Good morning, everyone. We are from Group 8A, and today we're going to present on a case in surgery and infectious disease. Patient is 45 years old male, come to ED with massive abdominal injury, unconscious and hypotensive due to motor vehicle accident, for which PI patient has sepsis and has past medical history of hypertension and currently are taking antihypertensive agent. Upon admission, patient shown to have bleeding in peritoneum. Patient was then taken immediately for a surgery. During surgical procedure, patient was hypotensive. After the surgery, patient was hemodynamically stable. On post-operative day 3, patient's skin appeared to be warm to touch and flush. For the plan, IV amikacin was initiated in this patient. So this is the possible diagnosis for the patient, which is sepsis. Okay, so for the evidence to support the diagnosis, patient had risk of developing an infection due to the surgery and also placement of pulmonary artery catheter. Patient also showed several signs and symptoms of sepsis such as fever, less urine production, and also loss of consciousness. From the QSOFA score, patient had a total score of 3, which indicate high risk of sepsis.
Next, I'm going to explain about the pharmaceutical cat issue and any drug-related problem. First is antibiotic prophylaxis. There is no antibiotic prophylaxis administered to this patient before the surgery. According to a study, emergency surgical cases were more likely to develop surgical site infection, and this patient is at high risk due to the trauma. According to a guideline by PPUKM, IP coamoxiclav 1.2 mg is suggested, and you have to monitor the signs and symptoms of the infection such as WBC count and the body dimension. The second DRP is hypertension. This is managed by resuscitation using venous lactate and monitor the blood pressure 3 times daily. Next is sepsis-induced anemia. According to the sepsis guideline 2016, management of this is RBC transfusion if the hemoglobin level is below 7. And we have to also monitor the poor blood count and also monitor the signs and symptoms of anemia such as fatigue and also palpitations. Next is dehydration issue. This is suggested to be managed by fluid resuscitation and monitor the signs and symptoms of dehydration and also monitor the input and output chart. Following that is impaired renal function because due to the low creatinine clearance. So we have to monitor the renal function of the patient and also monitor the drug concentration of IV amikacin because it is excreted in the urine. And lastly is hyperkalemia associated with the hypotensive level. Thus, we have to monitor the potassium level of the patient and monitor the signs and symptoms of hyperkalemia such as arrhythmia and diarrhea.
For the recommended management of sepsis in this patient, first we will suggest empirical antibiotic therapy with the combination of piperacillin, tazobactam 4.5 gram IV every 6 to 8 hourly, and amikacin 15 mg per kg IV every 24 hours, instead of amikacin alone as prescribed in the case. Piperacillin and tazobactam is a beta-lactam beta-lactamase inhibitor with coverage against gram-negative and positive organisms, while amikacin is an aminoglycoside which covers a broader spectrum of gram-negative organisms. Therefore, the combination therapy could provide better coverage against all likely organisms and results in better bactericidal effect. The administration of IV antibiotics should be initiated within the first hours of recognizing for sepsis, and we will suggest this escalation therapy to discontinue on broad-spectrum antibiotics and switch to antibiotics with narrower spectrum after obtaining the blood culture and sensitivity results.
Secondly, fluid therapy is recommended in this patient for managing his sepsis. Initial fluid resuscitation with at least 30 ml per kg of crystalloid solution, such as normal saline or wrinkle lactate, should be given in this patient within the first 3 hours. This is crucial for the stabilization of sepsis-induced tissue hypoperfusion or septic shock. Next, vasopressor therapy is recommended for early management of sepsis to maintain adequate NAP to at least 65 mmHg and organ perfusion. Early initiation of vasopressor can prevent prolonged severe hypotension, increase cardiac output, improve microcirculation, prevent fluid overload, and improve patient outcome in sepsis management. We suggest norepinephrine 0.01 to 3 microgram per kg per minute to be used in this patient. For symptomatic management, paracetamol 1000 mg every 4 to 6 hours is recommended for relieving his fever. And lastly, infection source control. We should monitor the surgical wound, perform drainage of the pus and debridement of infected necrotic tissue if present.
Here are some of the monitoring of drug therapy that we can do. For the piperacillin, tazobactam, and amikacin, we can monitor the efficacy through the vital signs, and we can also monitor the safety for any anaphylaxis reaction. For norepinephrine use, we can monitor the efficacy by measuring his mean arterial pressure and monitor the safety by a sign symptom of cardiac arrhythmias and renal function. For the fluid therapy, we can monitor the efficacy by measuring the mean arterial pressure, and for the safety, we should monitor the fluid responsiveness and his renal function. Here are some of the other relevant pharmacist interventions that we can do. Firstly, we should identify any drug intolerance symptoms to avoid any anaphylactic reaction. Next, we should suggest the doctor to de-escalate microbiotherapy because it can lead to pathogen resistance. We can also assess the patient's nutrition status over the course of treatment. Lastly, we can also suggest the doctor to place arterial catheter on the patient because arterial catheter can provide accurate and reproducible measurement of arterial pressure.